What's up, everybody? So I just got finished watching Caught Stealing, the movie directed by Darren Aronofsky, and I'm here to tell you what I think about it. Did I like it? Did I not like it? Stay right there, and here are my thoughts. I feel like this type of movie is a turn from what the director is usually used to. This movie has more of a, comical, comedic crime essence, which is weird because I really didn't find much of the movie funny at all. There really weren't much jokes to laugh at. I could see where the movie actually tried to be funny. I could see where they tried to put in some humor here and there, but it really didn't quite land for the most part. So Hank Thompson, played by Austin Butler, he works at a bar in New York City. He lives in an apartment, pretty decent place, with his girlfriend Yvonne, who is played by Zoe Kravitz. I feel like Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz had a really good relationship going on in the movie. It starts off strong, showing them, they're living in New York, they're a happy, friends with benefits type of couple. Until she eventually gets tired of being a friend with benefits and wants to take their relationship to the next level. Now, Hank is a baseball fan. He's been a baseball fan his entire life. He played baseball when he was in high school, and his mom's basically been coaching him, since he was little. His mom is a big baseball fan, and so is he. They call each other every day to check up on each other. She lives in California. He's currently living in New York. Even though they're both fans of the San Francisco Giants, and they make that apparently clear a lot in this movie. The whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, how does he even get around New York rocking that San Francisco hat? But then I'm like, New Yorkers are cool. They're not going to bother him like that. But they call each other every day and they're like, go Giants, and that's their thing. You could tell Hank and his mom has a really good relationship. They're really close, and the movie does a very, very good job in letting you aware that this guy loves his mother. Earlier on in Hank's life, he gets in a car accident that sadly takes the life of one of his best friends and ruins his whole chance of becoming a professional baseball player when he bangs up his knee. And he's haunted by these recurring nightmares every day he tries to go to sleep. He wakes up in a panic, having the same dream over and over again with the car crash. Now, this movie lets you know there's some trauma there. Hank no longer wants to drive vehicles, so now anywhere he goes, someone else has to be behind the wheel of the car. So as he enters the apartment building with Yvonne, his British friend Russ asks if he can hold his cat while he travels to London to go tend to his sick dad. He's like, yeah, sure, I'll watch the cat. The cat is pretty cool. He doesn't bite. Hank, at least, he bites everybody else that tries to pet him. What's not cool is that Russ didn't tell him the full story. Later on, as Hank is going back into the apartment, these two Russian mobsters greet him at the door because they're looking for Russ. He has something that they're after. Hank is like, Russ isn't here. He doesn't know where he is. And they eventually beat the living crap out of him and mess up one of his kidneys. He has to go through surgery now and get his kidneys removed. So now there's no more liquor. He can't drink, and he has to cut out some of his bad habits. Also, Bad Bunny is in this movie, and he plays the leader of these mobsters, which was weird because Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican, but they're Russian, but they get along pretty well. So Hank eventually finds this key in a really weird location that Russ was hiding, and now everybody in New York City is pretty much after it. Because Russ stole a large amount of money from some really bad people and placed it in a storage location, and you need the key to get to it. We also have Regina King in this movie who's playing the detective, and she's basically trying to put the pieces together, figure out what's going on, what's happening, what does Hank know that he's not telling her. And I thought Regina King in this movie really didn't quite do it for me as a detective. I know she can play a role very well. She's one of the top tier actresses of all time, but it felt like she was just unserious in this movie. Like, she wasn't really taking the role seriously, or maybe she was, but maybe the role just wasn't taking itself seriously. After all, this movie is described as a crime comedy movie, so there's supposed to be a little bit of humor in it, but it just didn't land with the jokes for me. If you ask me, I feel like Zoe Kravitz played the more serious role in this movie, and it was really a short amount of screen time that she had, but for the time that she was on screen, she played a pretty decent role. That also goes for Bad Bunny. I feel like Bad Bunny played a pretty serious role in this movie also. Every time I see Bad Bunny in a movie, he makes me forget that he's Bad Bunny. He plays a pretty good role in this movie. I give it to him. He actually makes you believe that he can be that crime lord gangster type, which I think is pretty cool considering the fact that he's an actual singer in real life. I feel like all the actors in this movie who actually made the movie watchable and played the more serious role didn't have that much screenplay within the movie. It just felt like once the movie was no longer focused on these certain actors, the movie became unserious. You know, Russ eventually comes back from London and take Hank to where the money is located because he wants to get these bad guys off his back. So he figured, hey, let's give them the money, get them to stop chasing me, I could go home, end the story. Things don't go quite as planned, and then, you know, eventually the movie takes a bitter turn for the worse. I feel like at that moment I kind of just got uninterested in where the movie was going. What really did interest me though was how well the nostalgia captured all of New York City from the 1990s. I mean, you saw like all the old buses and all the old trains. You're like, those are not around no more, but I do remember them. And then the music selection to this movie was actually kind of weird. I was surprised to hear certain songs that they played. I was like, this is a weird type of song choice for a movie like this, but hey, we'll let it rock. So Hank is being chased by these Russian guys who want the money, and he's also being chased by these Jewish guys who also want the money. And it's like everybody is after him because he has this whole bunch of money and they're trying to get the money back from him. So basically the movie is them chasing him around, trying to get the key, trying to find where the money is. They can't do nothing to him because if they do, then they'll never find where the location of the money is. So they have to keep him alive, and instead they threaten to basically murder everybody that he's close to. It was just like, yeah, take us to where the money's located or we're gonna hurt these people in your life. End of story. I mean, the movie started off pretty good. I feel like the third act really bothered me though, because there's one scene in particular that I was like, you could have did this the whole time and you didn't. And it was just weird. It was like all of a sudden, you know, Hank just started doing things that you're like, where did that come from? I feel like this movie had a lot of promise, but it fell flat in areas where it should have been stronger at. You know, I feel like the first half of the movie was pretty much the best part of the movie. The rest kind of just falls flat, it drags, it doesn't really do anything. And it's just crazy how much this movie promoted baseball so much. I mean, they were always some kind of pun to baseball. There was always Hank talking about baseball with his mother. It was like heavy on baseball in this movie. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe he's gonna do something with baseball that's gonna help him to, you know, beat the bad guys, you know? But I mean, baseball really played no parts in the action of this movie. It was just something they talked about and something they discussed, but there really was no need for it in the movie. I mean, they tried to make it seem like it was an important topic of the movie, but it really didn't really do anything for the movie. You know, it really didn't make no sense to me if you ask me why they were showing baseball so much in this movie, but I guess that's just something they decided to do. Even at the end of the movie, they couldn't help but push baseball into your face. And it's like, why is this movie so heavily promoting baseball? Like, what does baseball have to do with everything that's happening within the movie? Having baseball in the movie isn't gonna make you like the movie any more or less. It's just them talking about baseball. I feel like Austin Butler did a good job as Hank in this movie. I mean, he's a pretty decent guy. You know, he's just trying to make an honest living working at a bar. He has a bit of a drinking problem, but hey, he really likes his girlfriend. Well, friend with benefits at first, but they eventually try to make it serious. I wasn't really feeling Matt Smith, who played Russ. His British punk rock look and accent, I feel like the British accent was a little bit too off. I couldn't really make out a lot of the things he was saying throughout the movie, and the way they made him look in this movie was just kind of ridiculous to me. It just didn't fit his character. The final act of the movie really didn't do it for me either. You know, all these things are going on within the movie, and you're just like, okay, how does one get himself out of this situation? You know, there's no repercussions for what happens in the movie. It's just like, okay, well, in real life, something like this happens, there would be some pretty severe consequences for it. I feel like the music selection was poor. I feel like if you're gonna make a movie in New York City, you know, in the 90s, in the late 90s, you know, there were way better songs than that playing on the radio than what they're playing in the movie. To be honest, my favorite scene probably was in the beginning of the movie with Zoe Kravitz, and when you see the movie, you'll understand why. So what are my final thoughts on Caught Stealing? I feel like you should never get caught stealing in real life. Don't steal, as a matter of fact. That's bad. If I was gonna rate this movie, I'd probably give it like a 6. I would give it lower than that, but I'm trying to be fair to the people that actually took their roles serious and did a good job doing their roles. This isn't a movie you gotta rush to go see in the theaters. As a matter of fact, you can wait for this to come out on streaming, honestly. I wouldn't really worry about seeing it on the big screen. This is one of those movies where you watch one time and you kind of just forget about it. But hey, have you saw Caught Stealing? Let me know what you think about it in the comments. Please like and subscribe to this video because it'll really help the channel out. Again, guys, thank you for watching, and remember, it ain't cinema if it ain't absolute cinema. Till next time, I'm out.